Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Maro and this is my gentle yoga class. I hope you'll join me today. Go ahead and grab, we'll need a strap, tie a loop around the strap so we can press into it. We're going to put this around our thighs in bridge pose. You can do an exercise band or a yoga strap or even a scarf. And you'll need a block or a pillow. This one's a maybe, and a blanket. So I hope you'll join me today. We'll try to move all the joints and we'll practice being fully present in our bodies. I'll see you soon. Okay, everyone, so we will begin. Grab your strap, place it at the top of the mat. We'll need that later when we're lying down. And we will begin lying down. So I'll place it over here. And you might want to grab a folded blanket for under your head. That's comfy. So go ahead and lie down on your back. And let's do constructive rest unless there's something else that you'd like to try today. So feet about mats width apart, and let the knees fall in towards each other. You can always adjust the feet if this isn't comfortable. Let's try this today. Unless there's something else that you want to do lying down, you can do that. Always an option. And I think we need some releasing breaths to help us arrive in the present moment. So join me for 3 releasing breaths. Big inhale through the nose. Open your mouth and sigh the exhale. Let's do that again. Big breath in. Open your mouth and release. Last one, your biggest breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and let it go. And let's see if we can prioritize sounds and sensations over thinking. So let's find the present moment by hearing sounds in your environment, wherever you are. Just notice them. No judgment, nothing to do about the sounds. And zoom in your attention to feel your body as you lie here. Feel the weight of yourself. Maybe even the parts that are touching the mat. And any other sensations that are speaking to you, just notice them. Any sensations in the legs, the hips, the torso, front and back, maybe your arms, your head or your neck. Scan the body, take an inventory of the sensations. And now you can narrow your attention a little more, and let's find the sensations related to breath. So start to notice your breath. And with each breath that you take, you can begin to stretch it out in both directions at your own pace. Breathing in, nice, long, deep inhalation as far as it wants to go. Breathing out, a long, slow exhalation as far as it can go. And see if you can breathe into your ribs, into the rib cage, the chest. Of course, the belly also expands, but just focus on the ribs today, just expanding the ribs in all directions. And hopefully you can breathe in and out of the nose. You can always use the mouth at any point in the class when you need it. But try breathing in and out of the nose to the best of your abilities. And if you want, you can even place a hand or both hands right at your low ribs, where maybe your thumb feels the low ribs and then the other fingers are closer to your belly. So you're getting both parts of the torso so that when you take a deep breath in, you feel the ribs expand, maybe with the index finger and the thumb. But then you also want to notice if the belly is moving up. So as we breathe in, the front of the torso just expands, moving out. And exhale, everything just falls back down, belly moving in and up. So this gives you a way to feel the whole area by placing the hand at the low ribs and the upper belly. What you want to look out for is that the belly doesn't move in and up when you inhale. You want the belly to expand as you breathe in. So let's take 5 deep breaths here together. Wherever you are, release that breath. A nice big inhale, let the ribs expand. Exhale, release that breath. Breathing in, ribs expand, the belly also moves up. Exhale fully. 3 more deep breaths. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale purposefully. Ribs expand, belly moves up. Exhale, let it go. Nice and slow. Your last deep breath. Big inhale through the nose. And exhale, release and let the body soften. Relax the hands down. Let's hug the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze here. Maybe 1 deep breath before you maybe shift side to side, rocking on your back a little as you're hugging your knees in. You don't have to rock side to side. If that doesn't feel good on the spine and the back, it's okay. And from here, release the feet down. Let's go mat width apart if that works on the knees. So a lot of space between the feet, maybe the arms out to a T. And let's let the knees gently, slowly just fall side to side. So you might let the knees fall to the right, back up to center, let them fall to the left. Moving through some windshield wipers here, warming up the lower part of the body and noticing how things feel today. And breathe through this movement. See if you can be fully present. Let's be fully present today in our practice. As we give priority to sensations, you might notice the sounds, as I mentioned earlier. But just see if you can prioritize that over thinking, remembering, planning, over analyzing. I'm guilty of all of those. It's part of the human condition, but let's see if we can just breathe and be fully present in the body with whatever it is that we're doing. Good. Let the knees come back up to neutral again. You can leave the feet where they are, but knees facing the ceiling. This time, let's bring the fingertips up to face the ceiling. So we'll include the arms here in our windshield wiper movement. So as the knees fall to the right, just reach the fingertips over to the left without moving or lifting your torso. You're just shifting the arms to one side, the knees to the other, and then come back up to center, knees, fingertips up to the ceiling, shift the other way. Knees fall to the left, fingertips fall to the right, and just go side to side like this. Be fully present with this movement and any sensations in the body. Now that we're including the upper body, movement in the arms and the shoulders. You can even turn your head too to face the direction of your hands. So as the hands say go to the left, you can shift your gaze over to the left, just a gentle stretch for the neck. So let's do this a bunch of times. I feel like it's a bit of an exercise, brain exercise as well. Good. Let's do one more on each side. And come back up to neutral. We'll hug the knees in to the chest again. And from here, let the feet move up to the ceiling, arms overhead. And take a big inhale here. As you exhale, hug the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Let's do two more like this. A big inhale. You're standing on the ceiling, arms reaching overhead. And exhale, hug. Big breath in. Stand on the ceiling, heel bones up, arms reaching overhead. Exhale, hug, and relax your face. Lovely. Let's release the feet down. Feet down about hip width apart. Good. And let's hug the right knee in. Hugging the right knee in towards the chest, maybe in towards the armpit. So you have an option here to stay like this with the left leg bent. Or if you want this to be a little more intense, you can always slide that left heel out on the mat and see if you can just gently anchor that heel into the mat if you're straightening the left leg and your toes towards the ceiling. So you want to have an anchored left leg if you're doing this. We're not just letting that left foot flop out to the side. So pick a place that works for you. I like my left leg bent today. That's what feels good for me. And hugging the right knee in towards the collarbone or the armpit. Let's take 2 deep breaths here. Breathing into that right hip. Allowing ourselves to be fully present with our right hip and the sensations that exist in our bodies. And then let's take the left hand to anchor the left side of your hip, maybe right hand on right knee. And you can start to make slow circles with the right knee. Let's find some hip circles here in one direction. And your aim is to move from the hip joint, which means that your pelvis is not moving. So the left side of your hip where your left hand is hopefully still. That allows us to isolate movement to the right hip so we can lubricate that joint. Good. One more breath. One more round in this direction. And rotate the other way. You can start with small circles, maybe moving into bigger circles. Nice and slow. Breathing into the right hip. And then hug that knee in again, in towards the collarbone or the armpit. Relax the foot. Just relax it for a moment. And then let's make circles with the big toe. So finding some movement in the ankle joint. Make big circles in one direction with the big toe. Breathing into the right ankle. And let's go the other way. Good. Pause the movement in the ankle. One more breath into that right hip. Breathe and be fully present. And from here, go ahead and grab that strap. We'll use it here as well, in addition to bridge. So take that loop that you created and just place it under the sole of the right foot. Let's send that right foot up to the ceiling. So we want to stand on the ceiling. We're not pulling the leg towards us. Okay, so you can place the strap where the heel meets the arch, or if you want it to be a little more intense, it'll be closer to the mounds of the toes. And again, the left leg can be bent or straight. You decide what you would like today. And also, you can see if you can straighten the arms. That allows you to use the muscles of your tricep and your back instead of biceps when the arms are bent. So whichever one feels better for you. You could try both wherever you are. Just pause here. Let's breathe into the back of the right foot. You may even close your eyes. If the knee is bent, you can work towards straightening it. Move the leg away from the body. You can straighten it. You could be right here with your arms straight. Or if you want, if it feels good for you, you can have it bent and let it be up towards the ceiling. So pick one of those options and hold and breathe. Looking away from the thoughts, not reaching into the future, not looking at the past. It's this moment, this breath that matters the most. So let's take 2 directional breaths up and down the back of the right leg as a way to anchor our attention and feel this stretch. Inhaling from the right sits bone up the back of the right leg, up to the heel bone. Exhaling, releasing that breath, letting everything down the back of the right leg soften. And try one more round on your own. Good. And we'll release this leg down. Put the strap to the side. We'll use it on the other side. Release that leg down. And just pause here. Pause. Let's be fully present in the waiting for a moment before we move to the other side. Good. And from here, go ahead and hug that left knee in. Relax the left foot. Give your left leg a little squeeze towards the collarbone or the armpit. Find a place that works. Let's take 3 deep breaths here, just noticing the left side. Say hello to your left hip. Breathe into it and be fully here with your left hip. Come back to that same breath that we did at the beginning of class, breathing into the ribs, into the belly. Feeling the whole front of your torso expand. One more breath. Good. You can place your right hand on the right side of your hip, left hand on the knee, or any part of your leg, really, just to encourage yourself to make small circles with the left knee, finding some hip circles here. And again, I didn't mention this earlier. You can straighten the right leg if you want. It doesn't have to be bent. I prefer it bent this morning. So do what's best for you, whatever feels good. Good. Rotate the other way, nice and slow, making maybe small circles to start with. Breathing into the left hip joint. You can explore some bigger circles if you want. And hug that knee in again. Relax the foot for a moment. Just give yourself one little hug here. One round of breath. And let's find some circles with the big toe. Left big toe, making nice big circles in one direction. Breathing deeply. being fully present with the movement in the left foot. And rotate the other way. Good. Pause here. Release the circles. And let's grab that strap. Do the same thing on the left leg. You can place the loop under the sole of the left foot where the heel meets the arch or closer to the mounds of the toes if you want it to be a little more intense. Leg is relatively straight, either out here, maybe if the having a tough time straightening the leg and the knee is bent, or see if you can have the foot face the ceiling to the best of your abilities. Arms can be straight, holding higher up on the strap, or you can loop. If you have one of those traditional yoga straps, you can loop it. If it doesn't bother you, you can keep the elbows bent. It's just a little more weight on the biceps here versus straight arms. Good. So hold here and breathe. Breathe into the back of the left leg, feeling the sensations of stretch. So let's be fully present with that. And you can find that directional breath. It's a lovely way to stay anchored in the body. Reminds you to breathe fully. So inhaling deeply up the back of the left leg, up to the heel bone. Exhaling, feel your breath moving down the left leg. Feel yourself softening a little more. I want to find that first edge of resistance. This shouldn't be too intense. 2 more breaths up the back of the left leg. One more deep breath. Inhaling deeply, ribs expand. Exhale fully. Allow the left leg to soften a little more. Lovely. And we'll release this down. Release the strap. Let the foot go down. Pause here. And let's do anything that our bodies need. Maybe you'd like to do some windshield wipers. Maybe you need a full body stretch. That's what my body's asking for right now. Or it could be that you need to hug the knees into the chest. So do whatever feels good. For just 2 rounds of breathing before we explore some more movement. And we'll all meet in a bridge stance. So your knees are bent, feet on the mat. You can have the feet as close to you as it feels good. Sometimes people have some achiness or arthritis in the knees. You can let the knees be a little further out for our bridge flow. So find a place for your feet. You want the feet to be hip width apart. You don't want them to be too close together. Okay, at least hip width apart. Good. So feel your feet on the mat. Lift and spread the toes, anchor the toes, feeling the feet. And let's find 1 round of breath before we move. Inhaling deeply into the ribs, into the belly. And exhale, release this breath. On your next inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips into bridge. You can go as high as you want. Squeeze the bum. And we'll exhale. Let the exhale lower the hips back down where we started. Big inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips, squeeze the bum. Exhale to release. So we'll just flow up and down like this using our breath. Inhaling to lift us up. Exhaling to slowly lower down. And see if you can keep the feet and the toes gently pressing into the mat. Sometimes when we lift the hips up, the toes like to come up. So just notice what your toes are doing. Relax your forehead. Relax your face. Let's breathe and be fully present with this movement. Let's do 4 more rounds. Nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, but just this. Flowing in and out of bridge using your breath. And being fully present of your body and what this feels like. And I totally lost count, so let's just do 2 more. Last one. Good. Release this down. Pause. Pause and notice the effects of bridging. Pause and be fully present in the waiting. And now you might need to hug the knees in before we do another round of bridge, or maybe there's something else. Do that. So you can repeat the bridge that we just did without using the strap. But this is where you're going to grab your strap. So place your feet back down. Let's take the strap. And if you can do this without getting up, that's ideal. So just place the loop of the strap around the thighs. I have an exercise band here. I couldn't find my yoga straps. I think my kids took them. They were playing with them. So go ahead and tie the strap, the yoga strap or the exercise band, or even a scarf around the thighs, like I mentioned earlier, such that it won't fall off. It doesn't pull the knees together, but it allows you to press into it so that you have some resistance. Okay. So let's come into our bridge stance. Same thing, feet hip width apart. Decide how close you want the feet towards the body. And this time we'll reverse the breathing. Okay, so anchor yourself here. Let's take a big inhale. And as you exhale, press into the feet, press into the strap, lift the hips into bridge. Good. Keep pressing into the strap. So inhale, lower the hips. You're still pressing into the strap. Exhale, find your feet, lift the hips, come into bridge pose. You might even squeeze the glutes. Good. So inhaling to lower, still pressing into the strap, exhaling to lift. If you want to change the breathing and do what we did earlier, you can try that. I just wanted to give you 2 options. There's not a right or wrong way. You just pick which one you prefer for this movement. Just keep pressing into the strap. If you need a break, of course, you can not press into the strap and just press into the feet, lifting the hips. So always an option. We're getting the outer glutes here, outer hips, strengthening them when we press into the strap. That's where you should feel it. And the booty should start to feel some warmth and burning. That's a good thing. Let's do a few more rounds here, nice and slow. Do you feel your feet? Are you lifting your toes? Anchor the toes down. Just a few more rounds. Move nice and slow with the breath. Be fully present with this movement. You could even close your eyes. Let's do one more. And release this down. Ha. Maybe a releasing breath feels good. Big inhale through the nose. Sigh the exhale. Lovely. We can let go of the strap. We won't need that anymore. You can place that to the side. Now that we worked the glutes, let's stretch them a little bit. So let's find pigeon here. Crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. Okay, pause here for a minute. Figure 4, recline pigeon. Notice what this feels like. This might be enough. You can stay here if it is. Otherwise, hug that right thigh in. And hold here. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Into the left hip, feel the sensation of stretch here. Let your attention rest on that as you take 2 more deep breaths. One more deep breath, breathing into the ribs, into the belly. Exhaling, allowing places in the body to soften. The left hip, your face, your jaw. And we'll release that right foot down. Pause here in your figure 4. And then we're going to let the left foot just drop onto the floor, just as you are. So you're kind of twisting and turning from the hip. So if you want to see me, and you can use a pillow or a block to place under the floor. So just as you are, you'll twist and turn from the waist and let that foot drop to the floor or a block. Good. And once you're there, see what this feels like. You might need a little more stretch sensation, or maybe this is enough. If you're not feeling anything, you can encourage that left knee to move away from the body. See what that feels like. And whatever place you feel the most stretch sensation, just pause and breathe into that. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Breathing into the ribs, big inhale. Exhaling a long, slow, unforced exhale. 2 more breaths. Last breath, nice and slow. And we'll gently come out of this, back up to your figure 4, release that left foot down, pause here. Pause for a moment. If there's something that you need to do, like hug the knees in, feel free. And we'll change sides. So cross that right ankle over the left thigh. If you need that block or the pillow, bring it to the other side. So let's start with our figure 4 pigeon pose first. This might be enough. Notice what sensations you feel in the outer right hip. If you're not feeling anything, you can encourage hugging that left thigh in towards the chest. Maybe you interlace the fingers behind the left knee. Hold and breathe. And we'll take 3 deep breaths on this side as well. Stay connected to your breath. Stay connected to the sensations. 2 more breaths. The last one, inhaling deeply. Exhale fully. Release the left foot down. Stay in your figure 4 pose. And you're just letting yourself twist and turn from the hips and let the left foot find a block, a pillow, or the floor. So it's just going to fall to the ground. Yes, and notice what this feels like. If you're feeling a deep stretch sensation in the outer right hip. If it's too much, let the foot move away from the floor. If it's not enough, feel this action of moving the right knee away from the body. Hold that. Take 3 deep breaths. One more breath here. Inhaling deeply into the right hip. Exhale fully and soften. And gently come back to up. Come back up to neutral. Release that right foot down. And we're ready to come up. Go ahead and hug the knees in. lean to one side. And from here, you can press yourself up to hands and knees. You can bring a blanket with you for some extra padding. So let's find ourselves in neutral tabletop. So hands under shoulders, or maybe a little bit more forward, knees under hips. Spread the fingers in the right hand when you get there. Spread the fingers in the left hand. Tuck the toes. Good. Inhale where you are here. And as you exhale, just gently shift the hips back as far as they want to go. Maybe you sit on the heels. You don't have to. Kind of like you're moving into a child's pose. And then inhale, come forward. You control how far forward you go. Exhale, send the hips back. So let's go. Let's do this. Forward and back a couple times. And each time you come up, you can just challenge the wrists just a little bit. Okay, spreading the fingers, putting a little weight into the wrists, warming them up. And then you give them a little break as you come back and you work towards sitting on the heels and getting a foot stretch. So moving through this, just a few more rounds. It's always nice to warm up the wrists slowly. One more, nice and slow. Inhaling forward, as far forward as you want to go. Exhaling back, as far back as you want to go. Good. Coming back up to neutral tabletop. You can keep the toes tucked if you want, or you can untuck them. Let's move through some cat-cow. So a big inhale, drop the belly, lift your gaze. Exhale to neutral if you have any issues with osteoporosis in the spine. Otherwise, you can round the spine for cat pose. So inhaling to arch the spine, move the shoulders away from the ears. And exhaling to neutral or cat pose, rounding the spine. So do a bunch more like this. You could even close your eyes, just connecting with your own body and your own breath. And see if you can slow this movement down. Long, slow inhale. Long, slow exhale. If you want to add any movement in your cow, you can just wiggle side to side. You can do the same thing in cat pose. Once you exhale, pause at the bottom of the exhale and just shift side to side. So you can add a little bit of movement here for a few more rounds. Staying with the breath and that pause holding you in cat and cow. Stretches out the breath. Notice what that feels like. It's like you're finding a little pause at the top of the inhale, a little pause at the bottom of the exhale. Good. One last round. And we'll come back to neutral tabletop. Let's step that right leg through. We'll give our wrists a little break as we find low lunge. So come up to low lunge, but before you bring your arms up, let's notice where the hips are. So you can place right hand on right hip, left hand on left hip, and just see that they're level, both facing forward, right? As if you had flashlights. They're both balanced, facing forward. Good. You can make any adjustments by moving the left knee a little forward or back to make that adjustment. When you're ready, arms come up, and let's find a rotation in the wrists. This feels lovely. Breathing into the wrists, going in one direction. And maybe as you exhale, you can rotate the other way. Good. And then let's reach the fingertips up to the ceiling. Bring our attention to this low lunge. Feel your whole body in this shape. And see if you can relax the low ribs down as the fingertips reach up. Good. Breathe into the sensations of stretch here. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Maybe you tuck the back toes if that helps with balance. Good. Breathing into the ribs. Notice what it feels like to find that deep breath here. We're not lying down. Might be a little harder. I find it easier to breathe deeply when I'm lying down. But try to find that deep breathing here. One more breath. And release this down. Place the hands on the mat. Let's find one round of cat-cow. Actually, let's do 2 rounds of cat-cow in between sides. So inhaling deeply to cow pose. Exhale to neutral or around the spine. Let's do one more big breath in. Exhale to neutral or around the spine. Good. Coming back to neutral tabletop, step the left leg through and come up when you're ready. Let's test the hips, make sure they're in the right place. Good. It might feel like you need to pull the left hip forward, right hip back a little. So your hips are facing forward, they're level. Once you figure that out, you're comfortable where you are. Arms up, and let's flick the fingers this time. Flicking the fingers. Good. Now release that. Reach the fingertips up to the ceiling. And again, relax the low ribs down. Good. As you reach the arms up, sometimes I like to take one hand and I make that adjustment. And breathe. Breathe into the sensations of stretch that you likely feel in the right leg, top of the right thigh, maybe even into your belly. You could tuck the back toes if you need some help with balance. That might help you feel a little more stable. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Breathing into the ribs. Exhaling, softening. Good. Breathe and be fully present. One more round. And exhale, release this down. Lovely. Good job, everyone. Let's find a puppy pose here. It's kind of like a half down dog. So come into your neutral tabletop, okay? Neutral tabletop. So follow me here. So we're not going to move the torso. We don't want also the hips to go past the knees. So we're not going this forward because then it feels like we're holding our upper body. So try to keep the hips over the knees. Okay, torso stays where it is. Just reach the arms forward without shifting your torso. Reach that arm forward, reach the other arm forward, and then sink your chest between the arms and feel as though you're sticking your butt out behind you. So this is one way to get into it. Another way is to imagine that you're in a child's pose, but simply with the hips up in the air. Okay, so we shouldn't feel like we're holding any weight here. This is like half of a down dog, half of the upside down V. Sometimes melting heart pose and puppy pose isn't a back bend, but we're just going to keep the spine straight like this for a little axial extension, decompression of the spine. Yeah, and then hug the armpits in towards the chin. That gets the shoulders in the right place. So let's pretend like we are in down dog. This is like a prep for down dog. Okay, so you're spreading the fingers wide. Good. Release the head and neck. Doesn't feel like you're holding any weight here. Hugging the armpits into the chin. Good. Let's take one more breath. Lovely. And we'll come back up to table. And let's rest in child's pose for a moment. All right. Just a few breaths in child's pose. And child's pose kind of looks like puppy pose if you want. You could even let the hips be high to the sky. This is a nice modification. So many ways to do child's pose. You can have a little more space between the calves and the thighs. So pick one. Pick any place that works for you. Let's take 2 breaths here. 2 breaths, breathing. Let's see if we can find the back ribs. We've been breathing into the ribs, the front of the torso. Can you find the back ribs? Can you breathe into the back body? Try that for one more deep breath. Lovely. We'll slowly come up. And now I'll give you an option to find puppy pose again. It's up to you, or we can do downward facing dog. Okay, so puppy pose, you do the same thing, hips over knees. You'll just walk the hands forward without moving your chest. You sink the torso, the chest between the arms. For down dog, similar, except you're finding the full upside down V. You'll tuck the toes, lift the hips, and you're in that upside down V shape. You can move the feet a little closer or further away. Find that distance that works for you. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Good. Relax the head and neck. And then bend the knees just a little bit. Feel like you're sticking your butt up behind you. Good. And then let the low ribs come in. I know this is a lot, but we'll do one more round of all of this. Low ribs come in, armpits hug in towards the chin. Okay, so you got your knees slightly bent. You feel like you're sticking your butt up in the air. Pull the low ribs in if they're sticking out, and then hug the armpits into the chin as you're pressing the floor away. Find that shape, either puppy or down dog. If you're in down dog and you want to take a break, you can always come into puppy pose. Wherever you are, let's take 3 more deep breaths. You got this. Maybe you try breathing into the ribs. I know I gave you a lot of cues. Wherever you are, see if you can soften. Feel like your breath is holding you up. It's the prana moving through the body, not the arms that are holding you up. One more breath. And release this down. Beautiful job. Let's give the wrists a break. Come back to child's pose. You can rotate the wrists in one direction and the other way. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to show one more variation for child's pose. Sometimes it's a lot of plantar flexion for the ankles. So I found that if you roll a blanket and you place it under the ankle crease, this helps. Feels good. You can try that. If child's pose feels funny on the ankles, wanted to give you that option as well. It just brings the floor closer so you're not getting so much flexion in the ankle. Good. So let's just rest for a moment here in child's pose. You might even feel like you've just completed something. You've completed something, and there's a little break before you begin again. So try to surrender in that space. Just settle in and let go. Settle in and let go for 3 more breaths here. And we'll slowly come up to find a seat. There's no rush. Take the least amount of movements possible. You can grab a bolster, a pillow, a block with a blanket over it. So we can meditate for just a few minutes. So I'd like for you to sit on your sits bones. I like to lean to one side. I pull the flesh away, pull the booty back, and sit on the sits bone and do the same thing. Sit down, pull the booty back, and sit on the sits bones. You have this sensation as though you're sticking your butt out behind you. So you can find that curve in the low back. Good. So sit nice and tall here. Yeah, let's just take this stillness with us. We don't need to move. Go ahead and close your eyes and allow the legs and the pelvis to feel really grounded and heavy. Grounded and heavy. And then as you send your roots down, the tree of your spine grows upwards, so the spine lengthens. You feel like you're pressing the crown of your head into something, almost like you had an eye bag from the crown of your head, and you're just pressing into it. Relax the shoulders, relax your face. And just to find that stable, clear, calm attention, we'll just start with something simple. Let's just feel and follow 5 breaths. 5 breaths. And if you only get to 2, don't worry about it. Come back and start over again. Let's just feel and follow 5 breaths as if they're the most interesting thing that's happened today. Good. Now we've found this stable, clear, calm attention, tapping into your inner observer. Let's come back to the sounds and the sensations. So, looking away from the thoughts, away from the past, the future, the remembering, the planning. Broaden the scope of your attention just to include everything. Just take in the sounds and any sensations in the body. Prioritize those over the thinking. Let's do that here for just a few minutes. And of course, if the mind wanders and you wake up, you have that aha moment, just gently come back. Make it more about coming back. Don't feel so bad that your mind wandered. It's okay. Be fully present. Notice the sounds. You might notice sensations in the body. Reaching into the future or living in the past will not satisfy your soul. It may temporarily satisfy the mind, but it won't satisfy your deeper essence. So feel good about practicing today, about being fully present so that we can satisfy our deeper essence. And from here, you can slowly open your eyes if you'd like to rest in Shavasana, or you can continue to meditate if you found your mojo. Totally up to you. Go ahead and grab a blanket or a bolster if you need, and let's rest. Allow the whole body to just release into the mat if you're lying down. Let go of all the effort. Rest and absorb your practice. for just a few minutes. Gently bring your attention back wherever you are. You can begin to elongate the inhalation as you wiggle fingers and toes. Take a nice big inhale. You can find a full body stretch, reaching arms overhead. And as you exhale, hug the knees in. And then lean to one side and pause for a moment there. Pause. And let's remember to be present as we move away from this class and into our day. So gently press yourself up. Come to a seat. Palms together, hands at heart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all can be fully present in your day. Namaste to all of you. Thank you.